welcome to my Rust 2022 2x1 starter expansion. From a regular old 2x1, we're going to expand into this base, which utilizes 2 separate bunkers, allowing us to have 3 bunkers in total. We also utilize shotgun traps to destroy the twig if you do get raided or somebody comes by before you have doors on the outside, which will destroy the twig, allowing you to seal if you're inside your base. And if you're around the vicinity of your base, you can hear the shotgun traps go off and come back and check the base or spawn inside to seal it up. We've got 2 bunkers on the 2nd floor going down to the 1st, which completely wall in 2 separated rooms, which you can do whatever you please with. I've got some deployables put down in the base, but you can change it up however you would like to. And then we have another bunker that leads up to the 2nd floor. If somebody decides to raid through your roof doors, then you'll have another bunker right there as well. And then we added a shooting floor, a helicopter floor, and a roof. This is all subject to change based on your preferences. This is just an example I have to top off the full base design, as well as a small little example compound on the outside. The main things we're going to be focusing on is the core of the base, not so much the other floors and compound. So let's get into how we are going to expand from a normal 2x1 into this 2x2 core with 3 bunkers. You're going to start with a normal 2x1 to start your wipe off. This base allows you to have as many people as you want inside of it, really, and you can expand it as large as you would like as well. So ultimately, this is just a new core design that you can expand into something larger, but also allows solo players and small groups to use a similar core, which is just as strong. And like I said at the beginning of the video, we're just going to put some deployables down. For example, like you're not going to start off with a garage door right away. You're probably going to have wooden doors as well. So this is just what it would look like in the end. And I'm showing this for newer players who might not know how to set up a 2x1 starter base. It's okay if you start with wood. Most of the time, this is how I set up my 2x1. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, and you can redistribute your deployables once you expand a little bit. I'll usually throw a couple small boxes down and a furnace, and then get some large boxes thrown down just as quickly as I need them. Say I kill a couple people, come back to base, craft a large box, and dump in, go back out to continue farming or running monuments, whatever it is I'm doing. And then once I expand my base, I'll come back inside of here and make it a little nicer. The good thing about building a 2x1 starter base is you're not really a large target, as most people go for 2x2s right off the bat on wipe day. So by doing it this way, you can throw a couple sheet metal doors down, grind out a few hours at the beginning of wipe, and then you're pretty safe to log back on the next day without getting raided, as long as you've got some sheet metal doors down to deter people from eco raiding you, and your whole base is upgraded to at least stone. And then you can worry about upgrading it on day 2, 3, or 4, especially if you build in a nice area. You won't have much of a problem getting raided in a 2x1 until you're ready to expand. Outside, you want to make sure you put these 4 things down first before we work on the bunker. By doing this, you ensure that they're on the correct triangle. I'll have a link to a video in the description below to a YouTuber who goes into much more depth and is where I learned how to do this bunker from. So we're going to put that triangle down with a square and then build out 11 triangles from the right side of that square. And we're going to just destroy the triangles as we go along. And once we get 11 triangles out, we're going to build another square foundation and build back and destroy them as we go as well, just to save some time so we don't gotta run around. And then you need to make sure that this triangle right here is placed correctly. You see on the right side how it gets smaller. You want it to be smaller. And then also a second way to check is pull out your hammer and make sure the dots on the line closest to you are moving to the left. Build a triangle out, go out 11 triangles again. You can upgrade that one now and just destroy them as we go out to the 11th triangle to save some time. And then once we get out 11 triangles, we will build back and destroy them again. This is the last time that we'll have to do this. And on this last one, we want to make sure that we're connecting it to the square we're standing on by looking like this. And then we are now able to put 2 half walls down. And by placing this triangle specifically like this, we will ensure that it goes onto the top half wall. And you can upgrade this one to stone now. You don't really need to upgrade it anymore, because if it does get destroyed, we are still able to build it back. Going to put a roof right here so you can get up, and you can check to make sure it works by trying to place a triangle. If the roof is down, the triangle will not place. If the roof is destroyed, you can place a triangle and upgrade it. And to place this from above, you just want to kind of look up a little bit, like up from the foundation down there when you're placing the roof, and maybe crouch if you need to until it turns blue. And now your triangle will be destroyed and your bunker is working. At this point, you should have some low grade already and furnaces inside your base. You can pick one of them up and move it over here to get in and out of the base. This is just the easiest way to do it. And you can also throw a couple more down before putting a door down if you place them correctly. By placing a garage door here with the lip facing outward, you'll have a little bit more space to sprint across the triangle while it's open. You'll see how this will help us a little bit further on in the build. And now we can start expanding a little further out here. We're going to put our door frame on the opposite side of the opening to our bunker. And we will just wall this in and throw an airlock down right there. Get our doors down, and now you can see by having that garage door down there, it assists with us sprinting over this triangle, but you can sprint over it without the garage door as well. We'll put a double door frame down right here with another garage door or double door, whichever you have. And then this is going to lead to the next part of our base. If you don't want to expand any further than this and just honeycomb this off, you would want that external garage door facing the outside to be a wall instead. And you could leave it here if you don't plan on playing a long time on the wipe and just upgrade the first floor and honeycomb it off, but we're going to expand into a 2x2 with 2 separate bunkers in this specific use. So you don't want to have too much important loot up here. You could move your bags up here if you'd like, since the bunker works both ways. You don't really need them to be downstairs. You could turn this into a Dropbox area. And if you're building along, you might want to stop in case you're considering expanding into the 2x2 version of the base, because the walls up here you could leave open and put doors down instead to use the second floor of your honeycomb on the outside for bedrooms. So that'll be coming a little later in the video. We're just putting some example deployables down. And over in this room, you could change this into whatever you would like it. It's just an extra triangle. And our jump up is going to be on the other side of the base. If you're not expanding into the other side of the base, you might want to leave the top triangle of this part open if you would like to expand into a third floor without expanding into a 2x2. So just some things to keep in mind. This is just an example. You can always customize it, go on a build server and try new things out for yourself. And at this point, once you've got the second floor done, I would recommend getting some metal frags smelted so you can upgrade the first floor of the base before we honeycomb it. This is the current upkeep and cost to build the base to this point. The overall cost of this entire build is pretty similar to just what it would normally be to expand from a 2x1 into a 2x2. It's nothing too crazy except for a few extra half walls. So you want to upgrade everything to at least sheet metal before you honeycomb it. You don't have to upgrade this square with the roof on it, as if it gets destroyed, you can just place it back down. If somebody decides to soft side it out, they'll just be wasting their time, and you can place it back down. And you'll have some bags inside if somebody ends up doing that, so you can get materials to rebuild that. And you'll see that this is now the room with our TC in it, which is its own complete bunker. Don't forget to upgrade the ceiling tiles as well. This is the only part in the base that you would consider upgrading to high quality metal, as it's a lot of walls to upgrade. It's about 350 high quality metal, I think, for all of these walls to be upgraded. Maybe 500 if I'm not mistaken. And every time that you open your bunker, you'll have to replace that triangle back down and upgrade it, which wastes more high quality metal. So keep that in mind, that the other bunker that we're about to build, you would most likely want to keep it as sheet metal. And if you can build directly into sheet metal at this point in the build, that is also going to save you a lot of material. So we're basically just going to be building another 2x1 with an airlock on this side. And then we're going to put down the same thing we did earlier. And don't forget to put that door frame down, otherwise you will not be able to do so later on without ruining the bunker. We're gonna put our airlock as stone right here. If you've got armored doors, you could upgrade that to sheet metal. And we're just gonna turn this into a huge loot room. If you're a returning player or somebody who doesn't know how to do this, they changed it a little bit to squeeze these barbecues in here. You now have to face them towards the box you've just placed. So we're going to flip it around and scoot it as close as you can. You might want to bring it up a little bit further than I've placed here so you can reach it from far away if you put some window frames down instead of a door. And this way you're able to make this large loot room. You could put barbecues on each side of the front of the box as well if you would like to, but I find that is a little cumbersome, so I just put some small boxes here instead. And then you can just copy this on the top. You can squeeze this box in here too if you just have a door and still be able to access that box in the back. And then for this side, you can put whatever you want over here. I just end up throwing down some more large boxes on top of a salvage shelf, making sure that we can still run through. And then over here, you'll need another furnace so you can jump up. And we'll repeat the same thing we did on the other side, put a triangle down. And if you're afraid somebody's going to jump up while you're doing this, you can put a door down right here before doing this. So we're going to put that triangle down with a square, build out 11 triangles, destroying everything on the first time, and building squares back from the 11th triangle, destroying them as we go to save time, making sure that the foundation is placed correctly, small on the right side, little blue things going to the left, build out 11 more triangles, destroy the square, upgrade the triangle, and destroy the rest of them as we go out 11, build back, and make sure that the final square we place correctly. It has to be from this angle so it connects to the square we're standing on, then we can destroy that. Upgrade this to stone and put these down as sheet metal. Look from here just a bit forward to ensure that it goes on the correct wall. And our bunker is ready to go over here. And then this same bunker is going to allow us to put a bunker on the floor above us. And we've got a second bunker on the first floor, expanded from a 2x1. So currently 2 separate bunkers that are completely walled in. And we're going to repeat what we did on the other side, putting an airlock right here, building in stone as it's our second floor. You could build this in sheet metal if you would like to, especially if you're going to be expanding and honeycombing the outside. Make sure that you place these all correctly. It's easiest to do it from the outside looking inwards to ensure they are on the correct walls, as this is going to be our bunker locking us from the top. So it might be a little difficult to get this triangle down. It's easiest to do it from the top. And if you're coming from the bottom, you just have to stand a little closer to the wall. And if you're new to this type of bunker design, don't forget you have to destroy the twig wall to actually place those floors. So we're just going to add a bunch of double door frames in here and put all of our doors down. If you have enough gears to garage door everything on the inside of this top floor, that will reduce the amount of splash damage that raiders can do. So if you have enough to put these middle doors down, you're going to want to do that before you put any deployables down. You can upgrade that wall to sheet metal if you want to, but it's not necessary. And now we have completed our second floor. If you're wondering how to jump up, we'll be using furnaces on the outside, which I'll show you in a moment. We're going to put a furnace down here so we can jump up to the top. And we're going to put a garage door up here. I like it to face into the triangles so that we can build this into a minicopter floor. I love having my third floor as a minicopter floor. And now you should have some sort of little pill type looking shape. We haven't put the honeycomb down all the way on the outside yet. So if you're wondering how to jump up if your roof is destroyed and your bunker is closed, you can put some shotgun traps out here if you have those, and we're going to just build around this triangle. Make sure that you don't build anything on the front socket that we're standing on, otherwise you won't be able to place your roof. And so where that middle shotgun trap is, you can put a furnace down at any point during your build so that you can jump up here. I'm not sure if you could put a ladder there, I never tried, but by doing it this way, I know for a fact you can still place the roof down with those 2 shotgun traps and a furnace down in there. And I'll just show you real quick. If you don't know, when there are shotgun traps behind twig, if somebody comes nearby that's not offed on the TC, it will destroy the twig and shoot them, so it can double up as a trap. And if they destroy those shotgun traps and run up, you'll still have your airlock there to protect you. We can expand this out even further, like so. And for some visibility, we can put some shop fronts over here. And to close quickly, we'll use a double door, not a garage door. And here are some shotgun traps that should be undrainable and undestroyable without rockets. And that'll just ensure that nobody is ever going to make it through here without blowing those up. So you can build this before you expand this other half of the base and just copy this once you do expand to the other side of the base. And if you're saving up for the materials to expand to this other side of the base, you can start the honeycomb. Just make sure that you have room to put those 2 squares down and don't honeycomb the back side of it. So you might want to upgrade that back side to armored if you can honeycomb the sides first, but you don't yet have the materials to expand into the other half yet. Just something to consider if you have the HQM to upgrade your back walls that face this half of the expansion and enough to honeycomb a little bit, but not enough to expand fully into this side of the base yet. You can always do that instead of leaving yourself exposed without honeycomb until you're prepared to do this half of the base. We've now completed our entrances on both sides of the base. You can throw your twig down for an easier way to get up and to leave your bunkers open, or you can leave the twig destroyed so that you can seal up at any given time, since we've got our furnaces down to jump up instead. And you might want to consider leaving this side always closed off with your TC in it. This will be the triangle on the opposite side of your loot room and jump up to the 3rd floor. You can keep all your very important things in that bunker. You can use this bunker for like kits and extra gear sets or extra materials that don't fit up here. On that 2nd floor, remember, you're not going to want to put anything important as it does have a door path to it. At some point, we're going to want to get our honeycombing down outside. So we're going to do a single triangle on those corners, and on this side, we're going to do 3 triangles to reduce the amount of splash damage that raiders can do to these walls. Since we have 2 walls right here that will expose our entire base, we want to make sure that we fully honeycomb that off. Up here is where you could have switched these walls out for doors, and you can turn this 2nd floor honeycomb into a bedroom instead. So when you're first building the 2nd floor, expanding from your starter base, you might want to consider putting everything as double door frames except for where the jump ups are going to be and where those furnaces are. So putting double door frames basically all around the squares. It's nice to have 2 bedrooms on each side. You can squeeze bags in there instead of beds, along with a couple lockers. And then you have a nice quick respawn, re-gearing area on either side of your base. If you're not going to do that, you still want to fully honeycomb the 1st floor. Again, this just reduces the splash damage so they can't destroy 2 walls at once on the bottom. And then up here, if you're just honeycombing it off and not turning it into a bedroom, you do not have to fully honeycomb this off to save on some stone. So the 2nd floor, you don't have to honeycomb it all the way if you don't want to, or you could turn it into a bedroom, extra loot room, whatever you would like. We're going to finish off these 4 corners. You could honeycomb the 2nd floor on these if you would like to, but it's not really that important as it just leads to a bunch of doors. So what you could do is turn this into an area where you place your auto turrets to have a 360-degree coverage of auto turrets around your base. So we'll just finish these up quick and I'll show you an example of what that would look like. Also keep in mind, at this point, the base is really whatever you want it to be. You don't have to exactly copy it as I'm doing right here, but what I'm setting up is also viable and very strong, especially for a small group. And this could also be a solo base, so you might not want to expand out as much as I am. So I am considering that as well and just doing the bare minimum up to the point of a full entire expansion. So this is what it would look like with all the auto turrets around with the minimum amount of honeycomb. On the 3rd floor, I like to turn this into a Minicopter Garage. So I'll leave some space on either side. I'm not going to put any walls down inside of here. So we can put a ladder hatch or a furnace there to jump up to the 4th floor, throw some garage doors down. And now you've got a bunch of room for minicopters. You could put some door frames down on the outside if you need some more stability if you're building up taller. This is most likely the room where you're going to need more stability at if you're copying what I'm building. And I'll usually throw some boxes in here for drop off in case I do oil rig and go straight to cargo or something. It's nice to have some boxes where you land your minicopter at. And now we got something that looks like this. If you need to expand your landing pad, don't feel bad about it. This is really not that much space to land regardless. So to expand out, you can just do it like that. I don't really like the way that looks though, so I'll usually just leave it like this. And now we're ready to go up to our 4th floor, which we're going to turn into a attack helicopter shooting floor. I don't really roof camp that much, so this will most likely just be used for raid defense. You could put some different type of shooting floor down so you can have peak downs, but I also don't really care for that as well. I'll usually turn my external TCs into flank bases instead of shooting from up top. If you're in a larger group, you might want to consider turning this into a shooting floor with some peak downs. Throw some single door frames down for cover in between the doors and a half wall so I can crouch if I'm ever getting shot, since it's such an open area and I don't really like having doors in my shooting floor. If you like to have roofs on top of your base, this is the point in time when you would do so, as we don't really need to expand any more floors. You could add another shooting floor if you'd like, or like a farm on your 5th floor, whatever you would like to do. We're just going to stop the build right here and throw our roof tiles up on top, which assist with your roof camping if you do that, but more importantly allows you to have a more open space for taking the attack helicopter and raid defense as well. So now it's pretty much completed, unless you would like to expand your honeycomb out even further. You've got a lot of metal fragments and you want to completely upgrade all of your honeycomb to sheet metal and then add a 3rd layer of stone honeycomb. With this type of bunker design, we are able to easily place foundations everywhere, and if you got something like this that doesn't work, just destroy whatever you just placed and try to place it from a different angle instead, and you'll be good to go. But in our case, this is just an example, so we're not going to go too crazy with it, as there might be some solo players that can't do that. Keep in mind that when you have your roofs down, people will be able to see it from the outside, so you might want to destroy that twig and use your furnace to jump up to the 2nd floor instead. And if you've got auto turrets downstairs on the outside, you're of course going to need some nice little platforms to put your wind turbines down. Don't forget that you need these to go as high as possible to reach the maximum output efficiency. So if you need more stability, you're most likely going to need it in the minicopter floor. And now for the external TCs, keep in mind that only the first external TC placed matters. So you don't really have to put a ton of these down. You could just do 4 of these little gatehouses instead. We're going to build out 3 squares and upgrade the 3rd square into our little gatehouse to exit our external walls, and then destroy this square and turn it into a triangle, and you can upgrade those to sheet metal or stone, whichever you prefer. And then we're going to build out 4 more squares. You can leave these as twig. They will be destroyed, and on the 5th slot we're going to put a triangle and upgrade it into whichever material you would like your external TC to be. And we're going to turn this into a nice little simple bunker, so we'll wall in our TC right here. That triangle actually needs to be a floor frame, not a floor tile. We'll throw our TC in here though and fix that mistake. And you can wall in your TC completely if you would like to, or you can leave it open and turn this other triangle we're about to build into a little loot room with drop boxes and a bag or something. So we'll leave it open just in case we decide to do that later on. And now we're going to do what we did earlier. First, we're going to destroy all of these squares and leave that last one and build this as twig. And we need to put a wall down right here. That other wall that I built doesn't matter. This is the important wall that we're going to upgrade. And we need to build it like this to ensure that the bunker works. It'll be kind of floating here, and once we've built the rest of the bunker, we can destroy all of that twig over on this side. But for now, we need that twig so the wall stays up. And we're just going to do what we did on our main base. Destroy all of these, build out 11 triangles, build back, and destroy the twig as we go. It's good building practice, and also speeds everything up by destroying it as you go. Make sure the right side is small. Little blue stuff goes to the left. Build some triangles out from the square, upgrade that, and destroy everything as we go back out. 11 triangles. Build back, destroy as we go, and make sure this final foundation is attached to this square. We can upgrade that if you would like to. Put 2 half walls down, get your triangle placed correctly. This can be destroyed if you don't want it there, and you can keep it as twig and destroy it when you're done refilling your external TCs. And your bunker is now working. You can destroy all of this twig over here. And then this is also another square twig that we will use to break our connection to the main base if we ever get raided and need to replace our TCs. This actually needs to be 2 half walls. I accidentally put a full wall down. And then when you have this connected, you got raided, whatever the case may be, but you still have your TC and your external, you'll be able to replace your main base TC. And then destroy everything and reconnect it all back together. And when you're done filling up your external TC, you can destroy the twig on the other side as well. Don't forget to replace the tile on the top. And you can multiply this around your base if you would like to, but keep in mind, if you're doing that, you're going to want to do it as quickly as possible, because there are people aware of the fact that only the first external TC build actually matters for acquiring building priv to your main base. So basically, if you don't know what this does, is if you get raided, the external TC will take over the building privilege inside your main base when they destroy main base TC, and they won't be able to build anything like roofs to open your bunker, for example. So this is why we want to have at least one of these. You can build 3 other fake ones if you don't want to put upkeep in them to keep things from decaying, and just connect it to your main base instead to have the upkeep inside your main. If you're an experienced player, I'm sure you know what you're going to do. If you're a newer player, I would just recommend building all 4 external TCs outside your base and keeping the upkeep in them. But when you're placing your compound, you don't have to do that right away. You can put these gatehouses down first and then expand outwards for your external TCs. And to make them grub proof, meaning nobody can jump in your base, you put a half wall with the hard side facing outward and then a metal barricade on top. And that will work as a way of fully protecting the roof of these gatehouses from anybody being able to build on top of them or being able to walk or ladder over top of them. So at this point, you would finish your external TCs, and you might even consider making them stronger than they already are. If you're going to be making them stronger than they already are, you're going to want to move your TC out a few more triangles if you're going to wall it and honeycomb it. And you might even consider upgrading all of this to sheet metal on the outside as well. If you're not too concerned about the external TCs, you can just leave it as is and upgrade it to sheet metal. You could also consider putting drop boxes on here to store some loot inside of these, especially if you're going to honeycomb these off, like move your TC over a triangle so it's a triangle further out, and then you can honeycomb it in fully and use that as a place to hide boom or extra gear sets. Or I like to turn these into flank towers with peek downs so that if you do get raided, they're far enough away that you can have bags in each external TC, and if you die in one, you can spawn in another because they're all 8 foundations away from each other. So, for example, I would start expanding it like this and getting a door down with a way to jump up to the top instead of a floor tile there. Or you could just leave it like this if you're scared somebody's going to shoot you while you're refilling your TC and then your bunker's left exposed. You could put something down like this. So that's just, something to consider is your external TCs can also be turned into bases themselves, and they are far enough away from main base and each other that you can spawn in the bags even if you die or use a bag in another one. This pretty much covers the entire base design from a normal 2x1 starter base into a triple bunker 2x2 honeycombed with a compound. Remember, you can customize the interior and everything outside of the basics of the bunker. And with the type of bunker that we used, you can completely build around it as long as you leave the socket open where you place the roof. You can build everywhere else around it, including the roof tile directly above where you place your twig at. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and consider subscribing for more content to come in the future. And on a side note, before the video ends, I'll have a link to my Discord in the description below for Rust content creators, people who want to join a clan with creators in it, and you want to make some Rust content but don't really have anybody that you know that plays on a consistent basis. Consider joining my Discord, link in the description below. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one.